Make no attempt to reload your device. You are now entering the Hellhole.
Shakalaka!
We're live, pal, and we're doing a revisit of the early episodes of Saturday Night Slam Masters. Boom shakalaka, indeed. So we're looking back. It's been 1 year. I did manage to produce a year's worth of fake wrestling, which is just a silly pursuit for a man, but I don't know. I enjoy it, and if you enjoy it too, thank you for coming along and indulging in this interest. I love fighting games, not just Street Fighter, not just Muscle Bomber. I love the gamut, and really, if I'm totally honest, I would love to do a comic series that kind of consolidates the concept of the last 30 years of fighting games or whatever into a single property. I have worked on it extensively. I've worked on comics in the past. This thing would be, if we ever get some of those internet bucks, if we get enough, affiliate status, if we get, the YouTube bucks or whatever, that's what it's going to. I'm going to try to make that for real. But right now, I don't have the means. Like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Leave a comment. So we watched episode 1 again, and I did not focus on what was happening on the screen. So we're going to try to maybe hit on some more topics. I think this is probably exceedingly boring for everyone. Who cares what I have to say about this nonsense that I've been making for a year? But if you like it, let me know. I will do more gladly. This could actually be a really nice way to try to revive the live streams on Twitch. We are live to Twitch right now. I have not been doing that for a couple of months. I think the last time we went live, we were pack ripping a WWE Slam Attacks trading cards. The trading card arc is still in progress, if you can believe it. That's been going for a couple of years. We're in the middle of it. I think it's 1991 NBA Hoops. We got to get back to that, pal. I want to talk about some comics. I think we should open the toy chest because if I'm going to be a ridiculous man-child, we might as well just go all in. And what else have we got? I don't know. I've had, since Black Friday, I don't know, or September, like a couple of years ago, I've had an Indiana Jones thing sitting on my desk that I wanted to talk about. We haven't done a damn thing. I gotta slap myself around, stop being so tired. But hey, how about we focus on what we're here to do, and that's to revisit classic episodes from the CWA back catalog. Of course, you can watch the entire back catalog if you head to the YouTube page. There is a link in the description, the about area on Twitch, and if you are watching on YouTube, then you already know all about this. Where is the CWA logo? I gotta get that off the screen, damn it. So this was the first attempt at like a pre-intro. We still don't have the Capcom insignia, the preamble, which was, did I mention that was the inspiration of that? You probably guessed it. I've seen, some people twigged really early that we were essentially there's a heavy 90s WWF component to all of this, and the flavor, the approach to it all. There's a lot of direct inspiration and indirect inspiration in all of this stuff. But yeah, people twigged early that it's sort of 90s WWF, and the Capcom logo that I specifically wanted was to emulate that, you know, like the multiple screens thing that they used to have in sort of like 97, 98, 99. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. It's like all the different signals, you know, all the signals in the air at the same time. You got different screens for all the different shows, and they updated it over the years. They did keep that for a while. Now we've got the all the wrestlers, and it's like then, now, forever. Triple H and all that kind of stuff. Triple H is relevant because when it came to giving Victor Ortega a voice, obviously I have struggled to really distinguish the voices, but I refuse to use AI, you know, likeness infringements. Not only could that potentially in the future mean these episodes get pulled, but this is a creative enterprise. I want creative satisfaction. I want to express myself as well. So coming up with voices to do for characters is something that I like. So Victor Ortega is, you know, the character in the games is probably inspired a little bit by like Billy Graham, superstar Billy Graham. It's a little bit Hulk Hogan. But for a more contemporary reference, I was looking at him as almost like a little bit of a Triple H type. Obviously, he's not directly Triple H, and I haven't given him like the pedigree or anything. But the voice, he has that sort of belabored, where the extension of some words, and that is a little bit inspired by sort of like, you know, 2001 Triple H when he started doing that and trying to have a harder edge. I just thought that was a fun little way to distinguish Victor Ortega from other characters who probably sound unfortunately similar. My voice can only bend so many ways, and because I'm cranking these things out, I'm not always at my best. If you're gonna do voice things, you know, I've made the mistake here. I ate some like hot potato and drank some water before I came in here, so my voice is not at its best. You gotta like cut out coffee and do all these things. I'm not doing any of that. My voice will remain very inconsistent. So this is the second episode, and essentially, it becomes as an exercise. You know, it is Extreme Warfare Revenge. It is my GM mode. You're trying to manage a company and imposing, you know, there's no restrictions. I could do, like a lot of people, just do sort of fantasy matchups, but I'm imposing a lot of restrictions on myself to strive for sort of like a pseudo sense of reality, and just, you know, I don't know, it makes it more interesting to have restrictions, you know, I think, and you get, that informs the creative process more, which I think is a good thing. So we're going into this. I knew the roster is reduced. This is a rebuild phase for CWA. Essentially, they have existed in the past. They're rebuilding. They got this residency in Metro City at Hager Stadium, pulling in the Street Fighter 6 stuff. I thought it would be really fun to do Hager Stadium. I'm kind of having it both ways with a lot of things. I'm like half in, half out. Hopefully we're getting the best of all these things rather than compromising it too much. Because obviously I've gone for a version of the classic arena and ring from Muscle Bomber and Saturday Night Slam Masters. This is kind of like the default American one, I think. I forget what part of the world it's attributed to. I've gone for that. I do have a version of the Street Fighter 6 Hager Stadium arena that I made, and we might spring that at some point. I toyed with doing it for the anniversary special, but I didn't feel right. And partly because for a little while I was considering, should we go for the contemporary Hager Stadium look, which is a bit different. Obviously, with the WWE 2K base models and stuff, it's not perfect, but you would definitely understand it. At CWA Undefeated, we did sponsors on the mat, and you can see like a couple of those logos were because I was doing the Street Fighter 6 arena, which has some of those, the Buckler and Metro City promotional banners. So that's where some of that came in. Obviously, I did mention that the WWE 2K23 servers got shut down, which means I can't add any more graphics. So I had to really, in the lead up to that, I forget when it got closed down. Was it early this year or late last year? Essentially, I just tried to come up with as much as I possibly could in a really short space of time to try to give myself as many resources as I can. So that's how we were able to have CWA Undefeated and the Custom Arena, even though it was months later. We should save that for the CWA Undefeated, commentary, but I've mentioned that there's been interesting synchronicity with just what the new WWE approach and my approach, pulling on references from classic wrestling. I think that's what like the Triple H era does as well. It's very classically informed. I made that CWA, or I came up with that CWA Undefeated Arena before Raw went to Netflix, if you can believe that. I did think about changing it because essentially it's the Netflix Raw Arena. I was looking at MMA and Japanese wrestling, doing the mat with the promotions on it, obviously also building up the Ivan coin concept. It was sort of playing into that. It made sense for that. We might do it again. But yeah, just crazy synchronicity. There's been a lot of interesting coincidences. Convergent evolution, I think, is what they usually call it when you're not plagiarizing. It's just two groups have come up with the same idea. Anyway, we were concerned going into this about star power because some people might not know all the Slam Masters characters. I feel like they're a little bit obscure. I imagine, it's been done over the years. People have tried this. I think I'd like to think that maybe I've gone the furthest, but we had a star power issue, particularly because the concept was depleted roster. It's a rebuild phase, so they've got these basic guys, and they're going to rebuild over the course of the Crash Carnival. So Alex is kind of like our star power for this second episode. First one, I was thinking at least El Stinger and Mysterious Budo, they have flashy entrances, so maybe that can help get people in that way. But in terms of star power, the first two episodes are a little bit light. Alex was the guy to try to get people in. With the thumbnail, we had, the Summer Carnival Championship. You can see I tried to recreate the like bio screens from Muscle Bomber and Saturday Night Slam Masters and turn it into a character spotlight again. Just trying to inform people, bring them in, keep the characters alive, keep the presentation evolving. We're constantly trying to do just little new things, little improvements here and there, right up to the latest one, the anniversary special. Just trying to keep things alive. You can see that I spread out some of the like cutscenes that you can make and stuff like that. Didn't want to do too much. Save them, use them wisely instead of just pouring it all in. But we did Victor Ortega's challenge to the champions of the world because I'm also cognizant of the fact that I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep this up. So I wanted to get some of those characters that I've made in. There's a lot of characters we haven't seen that I have made, and right now I'm in the process of juggling. I ran out of character slots a long time ago, so I got to delete some, bring some in. Right now I've been struggling. We did have, in a recent episode, couple of episodes, we had cameos by Lucia Morgan and Eddie E., the cops of Metro City. They weren't named, but if you were wondering, yes, that's who they were. That wasn't a security guard in the airport. It was Eddie E., and he's a dirty cop, and he was helping the Wraith and BWA. Of course, if Poison and Mad Gear found out, they'd probably smack him around, and so I've been keeping him in the roster slot just in case, because they don't like BWA and they don't like the Wraith. We got conflict there. But that's what's going on right now. We need to be talking about what was going on back then. Here's Lamb Chop. Obviously, like I said, I wanted to use the Street Fighter 6 World Tour NPCs, get in these obscure guys. You need a roster that is not just all stars if you're going to do storylines, if you're going to do a realistic, or at least a reality-inspired wrestling promotion. So I wanted to get these guys in. You can see there's a lot of generic elements to them. Eventually, I do go back because they're here to just sort of get us started. I like the idea that, in World Tour, a lot of these characters are showing up as just dudes who have gone to Metro City. They're hanging around outside Hager Stadium, a lot of these guys, because they're there to try to get a shot at whatever, wrestling, the fighting tournaments. You go to tournaments at Hager Stadium. So that's the concept. They're here, they're local talent, they're filling out the roster. We obviously kept them, we embellished them, they change over time. So eventually, I did Los Dragones Eternos. Knew I was going to build up to that at the Mexico show. That made sense. Get all the luchadors in there. We're still doing luchador stuff even on the anniversary special. Yeah, so eventually I do start to try to build these guys, embellish them completely, because they all just have, generic move sets. They're randomized characters from generic pieces and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, this is what Lamb Chop looked like when I encountered him in World Tour. You see the ref is holding him back. So I've embellished him. For Lamb Chop, you don't get to see it because sometimes the game will not choose to use the moves that are all there. You make it this huge move set. It's good because it creates variation match to match, but they're not going in all the matches and with all the moves. So Lamb Chop actually now his move set, he's got a lot of chops. He does a lot of chops. Each of Los Dragones Eternos do have a more established character now, but at this stage, if it's not completely the generic move set, it's largely the move set. That's just default for whatever character type. I think the majority of characters that I've done are strikers. They have a class system, and I'm trying to. I will do extensive research to try to give them a moveset that's heavily informed by what they've done in other games, and then try to embellish it a little bit. Hopefully you notice that as a fan. There's a lot of things where I'm like, I'm trying to do something new. I'm trying to mix my metaphors from, Street Fighter 3, whatever, Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 5, Muscle Bomber Duo, all that stuff. Just trying to pull it all in together and make something of it. Hasn't been perfect. I really question if I should have done Captain Commando. I've mentioned that in the comments. I got a little bit carried away, but then we did. It's sort of a Marvel vs. Capcom reference, and Captain Commando, I believe the first game is set in 2026. Really, it should be a sliding scale. It should always be like 20 years in the future, 40 years in the future, whatever. But, he's the current acting commissioner because I just had to get cute, and I liked the idea of Capcom, Captain Commando, Captain Commissioner. Yeah. And create a bit of variation and do some of the stories with Mike Hager. But right now, the storylines are not really present in these first two episodes because these first two episodes are really just about introducing the main players. In real time, we're doing right now, for the second Summer Carnival Championship in 2025, we're doing qualifying matches for the tournament. We didn't do that back at this point. I just felt like it was a complication too many, and I was still keeping the editing process very simple. It's really just matches bolted together at this stage with the commercial breaks. But essentially the winners of the first 2 weeks are who compete in the Summer Carnival Championship. You can clearly see that. These are functionally qualifying matches, really. Rewarding the winners. Makes perfect sense. The Hyper Cannons sort of do double duty with the 2 tag main events. Yeah, so why was I even saying that? I don't. There's so much goes into these things. There's so much we could talk about. But yeah, it was about reintroducing these characters or just introducing them to people who don't know them. Rasta Gomez had to be here. I did sort of the Crash Carnival World Tour. I just used, that is the order of those locations in a playthrough of the first game. I think maybe Ring of Destruction, the second Super Muscle Bomber. I don't know. I'm getting them all mixed up now. But yeah, the Crash Carnival is just the in-game order that was in a playthrough. But I wanted to cut it back because it was a little too big, and I sort of wanted to do International Blowout, I think was a September event. It just worked out that I removed Dominican Republic. Spoilers, we're going to do another Crash Carnival, and this time we will go to the Dominican Republic. But so it meant that Rasta didn't have a home ground show in the first Crash Carnival, which meant, put him in the base roster. He's a guy that's still here with Freak. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do Freak. It's not perfect. He's much bigger than the Freak monkey manager that's in the game, and you can't necessarily incorporate him into the matches the way you do in Muscle Bomber and Slam Masters, but it's cool. I didn't like the names. Rastamon, that's the American name. King Rastamon is just like, what is that? He's not Rastafarian. He's not from Jamaica. Have they confused? Did the Americans confuse Jamaica and Dominican Republic, where he's from? I don't know what that was about, so I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. He's missing IQ Gomez. To me, it's Gomez with an S, so I think some fans will say Gomes. I'm going with Gomez. I think that makes a bit more sense. And it was like, well, what if Rasta is his name, or at least, if it's not his actual name, it's his ring name. We got nonsense going in the chat right now, so I'm gonna just try to deal with that. But yeah, so I decided essentially for Rasta Gomez, we were gonna combine the two. We went with Rasta Gomez, and it's gonna be really hard to break that habit if I ever have to look at the real games, because I'm so used to saying Rasta Gomez now. And I thought it would be fun. He's King Rustamon for some reason in the games. I did think, okay, we got King of Dinosaurs here, and I was looking really like, in terms of fantasy matchups, who do you put King of Dinosaurs with? Well, Rasta Gomez is sort of the wild man, the jungle man. We got the dinosaur man. There's like an animalistic quality there. Put them together, and then when Rasta Gomez beats him, he thinks he's the king now. He won the kingship. Just a bit of fun. Rasta Gomez gets the win there of a lamb chop, so he's established. We're establishing all these characters. We're trying to just get them over, get them established. We'll build storylines later. That will be the progression. At this point, it's introductory phase. That's enough. You don't want to. I didn't want to overload people in these early episodes and introduce too much too quickly. It was just like, this is. I like when a new promotion starts this way. Like, I think of the XWF DVDs. It's just like, here's the introductory phase, and you're satisfied with that. You're satisfied by, here's this guy, here's this guy. You want to know who these people are. Obviously, you're paying attention to the winners. Those are the guys who are winning. You want to know all about them. You expect to see them again. So it's a good way to introduce them, and it establishes the booking for the Summer Carnival Championship Tournament, which is the special event that follows this episode. If you're in the Hellhole archive on YouTube, you can get the Capcom Wrestling Association playlist. It's got everything in order. If you want to go through the entire saga, some people have done it. I think it's awesome. I think it's a good way to watch it too, because you're going to pick up on all the nuances. There are little details that run through. It frustrates me because obviously details do get missed. Things get through. There are mistakes. There's lots of presentation mistakes, detail mistakes. There was a mistake in, I think, the British episode of the Crash Carnival in an actual match. It was an editing error, but we sort of embellished it as a storyline. But I try to hit as much as I can. I try to pre-plan a lot. Right now, it's been a struggle because I'm just so tired and I've got no buffer. You may sense there are periods where it's a little bit wishy-washy, maybe a bit sketchy. I'm really trying to hold it all together, but it can get away from me a little bit. Here's Titan the Great. Titan the Great was an interesting one. You can see I do change his shorts. He's kind of got like 1930s bloomers here because I wasn't satisfied with the shorts options. Eventually, I did acquiesce to what was available. So he should have torn shorts and a torn sort of denim short vest. The short vest options weren't great. I thought, let's update it. It's contemporary, so Titan's updated his wardrobe a little bit. The face isn't quite right. The jaw is maybe not as heavy set and exaggerated as it is in the games. I've maybe made him a little prettier, if I could say that. But I think, I'm happy with... I like this version of Titan. I think he should have long hair at the back, but really I felt like it just... The spirit of it was the big wedge at the front. Reminds me of, there's a dude in like Yu-Gi-Oh! That had hair like that. It's kind of that kind of vibe. Sort of, I don't know. I think Titan came out all right. When I changed the shorts, much better. We get the lightning bolts. I don't know if he has the lightning bolts right now. Initially I had trouble. And sometimes it's really surprising what's in the WWE 2K games and what isn't. There are things that were in much older games that they don't have now. And one of the things is you can't necessarily flip images. So if you use the lightning bolt preset image, I don't think you can flip it. So I had to construct one myself. And there's a lot of little things like that have gone into this. So here's Giant Pile Driver. Giant Pile Driver is another one of the characters you can encounter in Street Fighter 6 World Tour. A lot of the characters you don't recognize will be from there. I tried to recreate him as best as I could, and this is what he looks like. Essentially, like Godlike G, Giant Pile Driver, is it General... forget what his name is. General Sergeant? Something like that. They're all the same base model character in Street Fighter 6. I've tried to create distinctions so they look a little bit different, but essentially you got a guy with like short hair and a mustache. And Giant Pile Driver has some sort of tattoo on his back. I forget what it is. I made that version, and he's literally got Giant Pile Drivers written on his back. It's all about branding and wrestling, live the gimmick. I did think I should have made him taller. I should have made him more of a giant. The height was an issue because in WWE 2K23, I think the height limit is like 7 foot or 7'1" or something. So you can't even do, like back in the day, they would bill Big Show as 7'6". I don't think you can even do that. And obviously we've got like, what is Titan? I think is 7'9" according to the game canon. Hugo is 7'10", I think. So essentially, because I'm only doing created characters, I created a scale system. So the peak is 8 foot in my scale, but obviously the reality of the model is it's 7 foot. But I essentially adjusted it so that you still get the disparity in the heights of all the characters. But obviously the in-game determination is not quite that. So if you've ever wondered how that was done, I did come up in the comments at one point. I forget who asked that. Somebody asked that. No comments on the second episode. That always intrigued me. So it's got it's got a bit of a viewership. We've had a bit of issue with views lately. Go watch all the episodes you haven't watched. Watch them again if you want. Tell your friends. Share, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Leave comments. Yeah, second episode not as popular. And I did think at the time it's a star power issue. Alex is the only really recognizable character out of them. Max is based on the guy. He's the Street Fighter 1 boxer? No. He's in the Street Fighter 2 intro. It's Max, and the other guy's name, I think, is Scott. The blonde guy is Scott. Max gets punched in the chops. They updated his design to give him sort of fancy sports marching pants. He's got some slick shades. I'm using the Street Fighter 5 design that they embellished, and he was identified as Max. And Max and Scott were only identified, I think, in that Street Fighter 5 database that they did, where they created some new sort of like little simple character art for all the characters, and then they gave you a few extra details. Really interesting details in there. Superstar Joe is an interesting one. We'll talk about that maybe another time. He's not here yet. Yeah, so Giant Pile Driver is here. I wondered if I should have made him taller, make him more of a giant, but I think he and Godlike G are about the same. And I just did that because their Street Fighter 6 World Tour models are the same. They're not really adjusted. Here we go. He's going for the big pile driver. I don't think he does a pile driver in the game, but I just thought I got to at least do that. I got to give him that much. I think Giant Pile Driver was one of the first ones I did start to tweak a little bit. I think I changed some of their moves because a lot of them they do the, what's the move? It's almost like is it an STO or a reverse Russian leg sweep or whatever? The stroke, the skull crushing finale, whatever you call it. I hate that move. I think it's stupid. The guy doing it blocks the impact. I just think it's a lame move. So they've all got that. It's a plague. It does continue to appear for a while. Eventually I get rid of it. I think we kept it for the United and Mighty. Is that the Iron Curtain? I forgot what the Iron Curtain is. I think I kept it for them. Fair enough. It exists. They can do it. But a lot of them had like the German suplex with a clothesline. Again, that's a United and Mighty move. That's the hammer and sickle as far as we're concerned. The hammer of German suplex, the sickle meat hooking them with the clothesline, the lariat. So I did try to embellish some of those characters' moves, and I've done more since. So in later episodes, you'll notice maybe that they do some moves that they don't early on, and obviously taunts or things. I'm curious about that. Characters will often hit the ropes and then just clonk heads. They just run into each other. He got the back body drop. Oh no, this is the heat up move or whatever, the comeback. But yeah, I'm curious about, they often don't hit their moves when they're running. I don't know why that is. I don't know if I need to tweak a setting or something or reevaluate. He's doing the hammer and sickle because that was a default for so many of them. I updated. As I went, I was fixing things as much as I could. Still building new things now. I've been building things consistently throughout. Even though I can't add new graphics, we're still developing new things. We got to keep it fresh. And like I said, there's a lot of characters that haven't shown up yet. I'm poised. If they announce a new Capcom versus SNK game, we can go all out and do almost like an invasion of SWF. We've been doing a handful of characters to reflect, is it Terry Bogard and Mai are in Street Fighter 6's DLC, and now we got Ken and Chun-Li in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. So we've been doing some topical stuff along the way. So we did that, but when I'm not going to necessarily just do what they're doing. I'm not just doing Terry Bogard. I want the wrestling angle. When we did the Marvel tie-in, we did characters who are involved in wrestling. So we did Thing, Demolition Dumpy D-Man, who came from the wrestling issues of the Thing, which is something I'd like to talk about. We haven't talked about comics a lot. I got some of those issues. We can talk about those. There's so much we should be doing in the Hellhole. The Hellhole has been a bit inactive. I've been pretty worn out. It is Thursday night for me right now, and I have barely started week 54 of Saturday Night Slam Masters. I got to get onto that because I don't want to keep doing these all-nighters where I'm finishing it hours before it goes live. It's killing me, man. It is killing me. So support is welcome. Like, watch, leave comments. I need that encouragement, man. I'm running on vapors. What are we even doing here? I gotta get some dinner soon. So this is the second episode. I'm trying to think what else have we had. Alex is sort of your big star, and it was like I knew I wanted El Stinger to be a big guy. He sort of fell off as we went, and Mysterious Budo elevated in the booking. Titan the Great was going to be established, but I was definitely looking ahead to Birdie coming in the UK. That's why we could have saved Titan for the UK leg, the England leg of the Crash Carnival, but I sort of thought, no, we need to get as many of the classic Muscle Bomber characters in as we can. And there he is, doing the torture rack, getting the win. Wanted that, and I figured, no, we'll bring Birdie in. That'll be cool. The balance of who's booked and who isn't has been a little bit tricky, but I think we've done all right. So for the first episode, it was really, El Stinger, Mysterious Budo, the Hyper Cannons, they're your classic characters. Gerald Galby we haven't mentioned. Gerald Galby is pretty obscure. You can find him now in Street Fighter 6 World Tour. He's in there, and the model I've done is somewhere between, I think, his Street Fighter 6 World Tour version and the Street Fighter 5 database version. They updated that. That's where the Buster text on his shorts comes from. He's originally a character who appears in Ken's ending in Street Fighter 3. It's a pretty obscure character, but I thought, gee, I kind of like this guy. This is kind of interesting. Big 7-footer, Valtude fighter. Obviously, at some point, we got to do Craig Marduk, Gerald Galby. Gerald Galby has become a favorite of mine. I thought he was pretty cool. I just wanted him in for the tournament, Summer Carnival Championship, and because some of the established lore, I think Gerald Galby is mentioned in some Capcom newsletters where they did like some tournament results and stuff. That's where you get that. I think that was around the time of Street Fighter 3, maybe just after, maybe with the 3 various versions. So this newsletter has like I think Alex wins the tournament. There might be a Hulk Hogan reference in there, but there is a Gerald Galby, I think, reference, and Balrog, Boxer, Mike Bison, whatever you call him. The Boxer is mentioned, I think, in that tournament. So Gerald Galby was another one where it's like, not much has been done with this guy. We can get him in here and we can do some interesting stuff. And developing the Valtude super fight was a lot of fun. So in terms of references, there's maybe not a lot of specific inspirations going on in this early couple of episodes. But I've been looking back. I love the early UFC. I really romanticize those early events more than the current ones. So there's a bit of inspiration there. And that was sort of like, Valtude super fights. I mean, they do Valtude fights. Like, I think New Japan has done that in the past. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Obviously, there's like Pride fighting. And I'm looking at all these references, both from wrestling and from these games. Obviously, all these games are heavily inspired by real characters. We got Joint Strike coming out here. So Joint Strike is a name that is taken from... oh, no, I'm drawing a blank. Is it the 1940 series by Capcom? The shoot-'em-up shmups that are essentially Second World War plane shoot-'em-ups. There's like a 2000s or 2010s version that's Joint Strike. That's where the music comes from as well. The majority of music is Capcom based. The vast majority. You'll recognize some of the themes. I know some some of the people commenting on YouTube have picked up on the Marvel vs. Capcom themes being reused. I try to balance sort of like the vibe of the entrance, character entrance, and the character with the music, but also, you know, like Maple Storm is the Canadian Joshi Bomber from IJWPW, which comes from the Udon comics and the Street Fighter V database. They invented those characters, but I'm not clear what for because they don't appear to use them, but they've showed up in the comics. There's a whole tangled web around the Muscle Bomber characters. There's a cameo in one of the... Is it the Super Street Fighter 2 series? There's a backup where they do Mike Hager having a wrestling match with Zangief. And you can see, like, Kamala the Bouncer, aka Jumbo Flapjack. I think Zalazov's in there. They're like at ringside or in the crowd or something. But essentially there seems to be some sort of rights issue maybe concerning the characters from Slam Masters and Muscle Bomber, which is why you don't see them in the newer games. Street Fighter 6 did add some assets. There is, I think, Mysterious Budo's theme got remixed or rearranged by Cap Jams. That's in Street Fighter 6, so you can use his music. Is it that, or is it in the Marvel? Not the Capcom Fighting Collection. I don't know. It's in there. You've got there's some graphics, some graphics taken from Slam Masters. So Capcom clearly are free to use all that stuff, but the character designs are by Tetsuya Harada of Fist of the North Star fame. Fist of the North Star, the animated version, is getting remade. I find that a little bit disappointing. I don't like remakes. Give me something new. Give me something fresh. But I digress. That's a tangent. But yeah, because Tetsuya Harada did, I think that's right. He did all the character designs for Muscle Bomber. I think maybe there's a rights issue there, and maybe there would be split profits and difficulties around that. So I don't think Capcom has felt the need to deal with it, particularly because it's a more obscure series. I would love, like so many, I would love to see these characters back, and part of what I did in 2009 on OneUp.com, like writing about these games and doing sort of like fake results, incorporating more Street Fighter elements, it was to sort of be a proof of concept and say, this is cool, you could do more with this, maybe make it more like a modern wrestling game and embellish that. So essentially this is all Capcom, come and have a look. This is all proof of concept. I think there is a certain built-in fan base. They're not all here watching. Hey, if you know fans of Muscle Bomber, Slam Masters, Street Fighter, go tell them about what I'm doing. Tell them to, lighten their expectations, but give it a shot. It would help, and maybe they would enjoy it. But yeah, I think there is a built-in fan base for Muscle Bomber. I would love to see, one of the games is in the Capcom Arcade Stadium, the first game, but I think that's the only one they've done. So if they do another fighting collection or something, it'd be great to see all those games included. Obviously, we love Muscle Bomber and all those games. It'd be great. I keep losing my train of thought. Essentially, it is about sort of updating, embellishing, and suggesting. I've resisted creating too many like updated versions of the characters. They're all heavily rooted in the past. There's a bit of a styles clash. Some of these characters are a little bit 80s, early 90s, and all that. We got more modern ones. We did the updated version of Wolf Hawkfield right after the trailer. I had actually recorded a match with the classic style because I really was happy how that came out. But we updated it, and somebody remarked, it was odd seeing sort of the updated contemporary Wolf Hawkfield with I forget who he was with or compared to, but yeah, there is a styles clash. I like that. I personally like that. I come from comics. I'm heavily informed by comic books, and I love the art form of juggling these disparate elements. There was such a stink made about like, how could you do a movie with Captain America and Thor in it? Oh my goodness. The Avengers movie sucks, by the way. I'm just putting that out there. The Avengers Marvel movies are lame. Avengers movies was not very good. And the feat of putting those characters together should not be regarded as a great thing. You look at the comics, they handled it. They got it done. So I like that. I like the different references, the different styles and all that stuff in Slam Masters, what we're doing. You tell me, is it working? Is it working? You be the judge, because we need that input. That's part of it. We need the assessment to be coming from you as much as me. It helps me decide what I'm doing when. I got a lot of ideas. I could go probably multiple years. I would love to do at least a year 2. I feel like we got to get to Victor Ortega losing the championship. We've lived the legend. It's a little premature to talk about it. I did decide leave him out, have him return, because that happens in the Muscle Bomber games. He returns from exile to challenge the would-be champion, which is where we did the Summer Carnival Championship interim champion storyline, and then had that build up to the International Blowout, which again is International Blowout is the subtitle, I think, for the first game. All of that stuff's in there. I don't know. If you want me to do more of these things and just discuss more of what goes into all this stuff, let me know. Leave a comment. Not seeing a lot of activity in the chat right now, but if you're watching on YouTube, definitely let me know, because I'll do more of this. I like I said, I'm such a fighting game tragic. I just love talking about these characters, thinking about these characters, soaking in the environment of all they are. Obviously, so Joint Strike, these are more Street Fighter 6 World Tour characters. I don't know if I mentioned that. I did embellish them. I gave them more of a military appearance. I thought that would be fun. I want to bring these guys back. There's a couple of storyline ideas for these guys. I have been, they just keep getting put off because there's only so much time, there's only so much space. So these guys keep getting bumped, but there is a storyline that I could have done very early on. And there's a couple of storylines. If you remember Trey Trebuchet, he's another one of the Street Fighter 6 World Tour characters. When I encountered Trey Trebuchet and is it who's the Major Sergeant? They were the same character models. I've tweaked them so they look distinct, but I'm thinking maybe a family thing going on there, and we could do something with that. I don't know. It's fun because those characters just have nothing to them, so that's where I can imprint a lot of stuff on. And obviously with the United and Mighty, we've embellished them a lot. There's sort of like natural evolution to all this stuff. It's sort of, some of it determines itself, and then occasionally you throw in a new idea or a new matchup, a new gimmick or whatever. Hyper Cannons were here. Obviously, we didn't have tag team championships at this stage. I knew Muscle Bomber Duo was going to happen. I knew that we would get there, but we had to build the tag teams. So Hyper Cannons, establish them as a unit because they are the Cannon Ryu of the Slam Masters. They're the pupils of Mike Hager. They're two of the major stars of CWA according to the games. So we establish them as a team. And of course, we get to do then the surprise of the tournament is they get drawn to face each other in the first round. So we're not going to have a final with those guys. Only one can progress, which I found. We didn't have a lot of storylines to draw upon. The combinations of characters didn't necessarily have a lot going on. So that was one where it's like, this is the first drip of a storyline. Storylines have gotten much more elaborate since. If you're following along, definitely check out newer episodes. If you want to go to the playlist, CWA, Capcom Wrestling Association, on the YouTube, there is a link in the About description. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to find that playlist really easily. If you go to the channel, check the description on any episode, or if you hang to the end, there is always a link at the end to the next episode. You can click on, the thumbnail. It'll be the next episode. There's the playlist, there's the channel, and maybe something else. I try to keep it as easy as you can to get what you need, but obviously there's a little bit of work sometimes. So this is hyping up the tournament. That was the special event that followed this. If we do another commentary look back, we'll maybe do that one and yak it up even more. Things get more complicated as we go. There's a lot more to talk about. We hardly scratched the surface. Episode 3 has some interesting stuff. Oh, yeah, I guess I should mention. So the Mega Man Legacy Collection ad got edited into these. I was not... Initially, the ads are really good because they let me snip matches down. Some simulating matches means sometimes they blow out too long. Tag matches, people know WWE 2K notoriously has these terrible tag matches. I've been getting a good run, though, where I haven't had to snip them down much, but sometimes you get it blows out to 20 minutes because they just keep breaking the covers. I think the combinations we've had weaker tag teams involved, so it means that the better tag team can sort of dominate them. The weaker... If the stats are a certain way, they don't break as many covers. So we've had a really good run with that. But yeah, the ads have been that's why there's ad breaks. Capcom have just been so active, so abundant, doing so many cool things. There's been no shortage of new ads, so we're not getting too stale. But early on, I only had so many ads that I could pull from. I was using whatever was current for Street Fighter 6, but I thought, yeah, Mega Man Legacy Collection, because I had just played some of the Mega Man Legacy Collection, I think, at that stage. Wow, that was brutal. I'd like to play some more Mega Man. There's so much we're not doing right now that I'd love to be doing. I'd love to revisit some of the games I've dropped. Death Stranding is out. I can't afford a PS5 right now, so I'm not playing Death Stranding 2, which breaks my heart because I'd love to be. that's the game I'm excited about. I started a Death Stranding playthrough a while back. That was one that I dropped for a variety of reasons, including unfortunately experiencing a death in real life, which just sort of it just caused me to need to restart everything. Essentially, I had to put everything aside, and Death Stranding does deal with death a lot, so I was a little bit off put at that stage. If you want to see me play more Death Stranding, find those in the YouTube archive. Leave a comment. Tell me, say, hey man, come back to this. I am thinking about doing a particular thing with it that's incredibly tedious. We specialize in tedium. That is why we are called the Hellhole, because it is a hellacious, mind-numbing assault of tedium. There's no fun to be had here. But yeah, I want to get back to Death Stranding maybe and just dip a toe in. There's so many things I want to do. I want to get back to the comics, the trading card arc. I want to play some more games. I bought some games. I just got in the Steam summer sale. I got a game that I've been curious about for a long time. There's always more stuff that I would like to do. If you want to see me do that, make sure you follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, ring the bell, like, subscribe, drop the elbow, do all that stuff. I really appreciate everyone who has been along for the Capcom Wrestling Association journey. It is so great to connect with other fans who like this stuff. I've been able to show you some things that you didn't know. You've said, like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? I think that's incredibly cool. I'm a fan of these games. I love showing people. Back in 2009, when I wrote all this stuff on OneUp.com, there were a lot of people that was their introduction to the Saturday Night Slam Masters series because it fell into obscurity. People didn't know about it back in 2009. And even I only really got into it like in the mid-2000s. I was a Street Fighter guy. I played Street Fighter 2 when it came out. Immediately fell in love with Street Fighter. I'd been a Double Dragon fan. And then, I get into Mortal Kombat. Some of you will know me from Mortal Kombat. I don't talk about it a lot. Yeah, I'm that jerk. I'm that jerk from a lot of things, though. Like, some of you will know me from Comics World. Yeah, I'm that jerk, too. It's always fighting. I feel like I'm just that jerk from so many things, and I never tie them together. I don't know. Don't cross the streams. Ghostbusters had it right. But yeah, if there's something you think I should be doing, leave a comment, all that stuff. We're going long. I'll be back with more. I'm trying to get week 54 done. Episode 54 of Saturday Night Slam Masters. Should I give you any spoilers? If you don't want spoilers, look away now. It's been a slug because I've been trying to work out the booking. Things are getting really complicated now, much more complicated. The presentation has changed. Where is it? Week 54. We're building up to this year's Summer Carnival Championship. So some of those events, obviously, I can't keep adding new graphics for new events. So some of these events are going to recur as they would for WWF, WCW, TNA, AEW, all those things. This week we're really dealing with fallout from the anniversary special, the King of Lucha Libre match. The Heck is like, I don't know, the Heck's having the summer of Heck. How do we feel about the Heck right now? Leave a comment. Tell me about that. Because he's a little bit of a jerk. Obviously, a knockoff of The Rock. We finally did, for the first time, a two-man commentary booth on that Battle Royal. I thought it was time to try. It's much more labor-intensive. It's difficult, but it was a bit of fun. We're going to follow up on that. We got Tizok has just shown up. Spoilers, if you're new. Tizok is here, finally. Man, that has been a long time coming. A little fun fact. I hate the King of Dinosaurs that I made. It's lame. I tried. I used what was there, but it's lame. So if we can retire King of Dinosaurs, I'll be very pleased. Yeah, this is a weird thing with me where sometimes I will be much harsher or less involved with the things that I love. We don't talk always about the things that I love here in the Hellhole. King of Dinosaurs has had the most matches, I think, out of anyone. He's one of my least favorite CAWs that I made, and yet, yeah, he's in the most matches. I did that knowing that I was going to retire him. When I was going to retire him kept changing. I just wanted to get as much as I could out of him. I think he had a Superstar Challenge match because that's why the sumo got involved, because I made the sumo based on the Street Fighter 6 World Tour NPCs. I was going to do something with them when I thought I needed more of a roster. And then it turns out I didn't really need them. I thought I'll get a match out of them. Superstar Challenge, we need to get those numbers up, the Goldberg numbers. And now we've got the freaking Mass Sumo involved, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what we can do with that. So the Sumos might be sticking around for a little while. Tell me what you think about that in the comments. Do we need to do more with them? Who do we need? I think I deleted Neon Indignant Intern, so he's dead. The Wraith killed him. There's no death in this. There was no threat of death. But yeah, so this week we got that. We got fallout from the HWA situation. Hugo and Poison want to conscript. That's taken from Street Fighter 3. Why did they go after Alex? Well, because it's the Street Fighter 3 ending. That's basically it. And it'll make sense though. We'll try to make it conceptually and storyline wise make a bit of sense. So that's going to be interesting. Plus it just gets Alex involved, keeps that ticking over. Sometimes I'm a little bit concerned that, I drop major things a little too much. It is tricky to juggle everything. I felt like the Huge Wrestling Army came in hot. Maybe didn't quite deliver as much as they should have. Necro has been a bit lame. Necro has hardly shown up now. We're going to try to boost them back up with all of this, but we'll see how that plays. We got... I haven't been sure how much I want to do again. Keep going with the United and Mighty stuff with Boris, Anuo, and Sao. That'll probably be in there, but that was one that I keep thinking maybe I could change. And yeah, just more follow-up from the King of Lucha Libre stuff. I don't know. I don't want to spoil too much. It's fun to discover these things. I challenge you not to skip through the play. Like, just play it start to finish. It's only like 30 to 40 minutes. Play the whole thing. It helps a great deal for that dastardly YouTube algorithm, the ultimate heel, the super heel in all our lives. Helps me if you watch the whole thing start to finish, and get good at experiencing things. Don't just skip ahead for the results and stuff. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you got to do. Play it at double speed. Like I said, often I'm not talking that fast. I'm going to watch this back later, and I'm going to be appalled at how slow I'm speaking. Wrap this up, man. You're dragging it out. I'll be back sometime soon doing something either on YouTube, where every week for the last year we have had a Saturday Night Slam Masters episode. There's special events, I think roughly every 2 months. So those are big blockbusters. You can check those out. If you know wrestling, you know what to expect. PLEs, they're called. We used to call them PPVs, pay-per-views. Now they're premium live events. Check them out. Like, subscribe, leave comments, leave reactions. Tell me what you think's cool, what's working, who's your favorite character. I would have loved to have seen people do 5-star ratings for the matches, but I think that's a little too involved. I don't think anyone cares that much. That's fine. And I'll be back soon. Hopefully doing some more streams in the Hellhole. I got to go make week 54. This is getting out of hand. Adios, amigos.